Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be reviewing the Beta Garmon campaign book for the new Horus Heresy, and it's really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in, we're going to have a little look about this. Yeah, so I finally got hold of my Battle for Beta Garmon book for the Horus Heresy, and I have to admit, this book is really good. Straight off the bat, I will say that this is the first campaign book I have got for the new second edition of the Horus Heresy. I didn't get Siege of Chthoniya, although I do want to get it because it has the Zone Mortalis rules. And I didn't get the Age of Darkness book, the sort of exemplary battles book with Fulgrim on it, and I probably won't because I've heard there's a lot of issues with that book and it's been FAQ'd quite a lot and there's not really that much in it. But this book, if you are a Horus Heresy fan, is a must-have. I'm about halfway through the story so far and I'm pretty impressed. It's a pretty meaty lore section, and this book kind of holds quite a lot of stuff. So other than just having the rules for 4 characters, which we have seen, which is Little Horus, Tybolt Mar, Shadrach Medicine, and Edward Har for the Blackshields. The book also comes with rules for playing back Blackshields, which we're going to go into very shortly, as well as the Shattered Legions. And it also has a couple of additional rules for your legions, and it has some additional rules for your solar auxiliary units. So there's quite a bit in here. What I'm going to do is, as we talk, I'll be flashing up photos up onto the screen, so do not worry. So yes, the rules as well. It's also got a couple of campaign systems, so it's pretty decent. I mean, this book is a lot better from what I've seen of the Siege of Chthoniya books, as well as the other books. So there's obviously a campaign system in here as well. So you've got a big chunk of the book. So you've probably got like 106 pages, which is lore. And at the moment, I am on page 65 of the lore section. So, you know, there's still quite a little bit. And then you've got the campaigns and stuff like that. So you've got the Onslaught campaign system and the Garmon Bulwark campaign system. So you've got 2 campaign systems in the book, which is really good. You've got the Age of Darkness core missions as well. You then got the Garmon Bulwark Apex missions, which are pretty interesting. Then you have the rules for the Shattered Legions, the Blackshields, and then the additional rules for the Legions Auxilia. And what this kind of cool sort of addition is, if you want to bring Solar Auxiliary as a sort of like an allied detachment for your Legion, you can kind of give them a Legion rule, which is kind of cool. So as an example, we'll just jump to page 164 and we'll have a little look at that. So as an example, what you can do is give them the rule. So like the Legion Auxiliary extra special rule sort of is like their rule rather than the auxiliary rule that they would get. So as an example, if as I play Iron Warriors, if I wanted to take Legion Auxiliary or a Solar Auxiliary as an allied detachment, I can give them the Legionist Auxiliary Iron Warriors rule. And what this does is it basically, a unit entirely composed of models with the Legion Auxiliary Iron Warriors special rule takes leadership tests as part of the pinning and concussive special rules. The unit ignores any negative effect modifiers, which is really good. And each of the legions have got a little rule for their Solar Auxiliary. So it's really quite nice to see that, which is really good. So obviously you've got that. You've also obviously got the additional rules for things like the Light Sentinel squadrons, the Hermes Ventalis squadron, the Athen Heavy Sentinel squadron, and the Life Ward section. So there's a couple of additional rules here for your Solar Auxiliary armies. Obviously you will need the other black book. I think it's Armies of the Imperium. It's the one with the solar with the custody guard and things like that in it. So you'll get this and that book, and then you'll get your full list to use for your solar auxiliary. And then the Legion of Stars obviously got the 4 new characters. Well, actually 5, because you've got the White Scars, Hebrew Khan, who has an absolute gorgeous model. And then you've got 2 new options. So basically, you've got the Legion Opatai. I'm probably not saying that correctly, but basically what that is it's a lieutenant for your armies. It is pretty cool. I quite like it. It's only 40 points. And he basically has a pretty decent stat line. You know, he's a weapon skill 5. He's got 2 wounds. He's a leadership 9, 2 attack character with a 3 up armor save. He's an independent character, has the strength of the Legion rule, and he has a relentless rule. And he comes with quite a lot of options. So you can stick him on a jet bike. You can give him a Warhawk jump pack if you really want to. You can put him on a little normal outrider bike. You can give him a combat shield, melter bombs, artifice armor. You can pretty much tool him up. One thing that he doesn't have is any form of invulnerable save, unless you give him the combat shield, I believe. But the strength of the Legion rule is basically a unit which contains 1 or more models with this special rule automatically passes leadership tests made to regroup. Additionally, a unit containing 1 or more models with this special rule, which has regrouped this turn, suffers no restrictions to the ability to charge or make shooting attacks due to having regrouped in the same turn, which means that you can regroup and then charge, and it also means you can regroup and then turn around and actually fire properly without snap firing, which is really quite good. So for 40 points for essentially a lieutenant level character, which is kind of nice. You can, like, you know, throw him into a 20-man tactical squad, and you know they're basically gonna not have to really worry about those leadership tests. It's pretty good. Also, what we get for 80 points is a Legion company command squad. Now, this is different to the command squad that we get in the main army list. This is only 80 points, and it's kind of a command squad for a Legion Optai, which is the lieutenant, or a Legion Centurion. So basically, this is company level stuff. So not like chapter level or Primarch level, which is essentially what the other command squad is. This is basically a command squad for a low level ranking officer. You can have up to 10 guys in the squad, and it's 80 points for 5. 80 points for 4. And then you can have up to 5 additional guys at 18 points per model. And you can have all of your usual stuff. So you can have Nuxia and Vox, a Vexilla, a company standard, which you will want to have because there is a rule for the company standard. Augury scanners, you can have bayonets and chain bayonets. You can have all sorts of different combi weapons, as well as Astarte shotguns and Nemesis bolters. You can have chainswords, heavy chainswords, carnival blades, lightning claws, and thunder and power weapons. You can have hand flamers. You can have pairs of lightning claws. You can even have heavy weapons in the squad as well. So you can really tool up this squad to do what you need it to do. So obviously it's a Legion, it's a company command squad. So the command squad is picked for either the Optai or the Centurion. The command squad does not take up a force on organization chart, like all command squads don't. And the really, really cool part is if you have a company standard, which you're going to do for 20 points, you basically get to do some stuff for leadership, but the unit also gains line, which is pretty good. So you're getting a really cheapish unit with a reasonably good character inside, and line, which is pretty nice. So I think, you know, for smaller games, 1,000-point games, when you don't really want to bring a Praetor, or you know, if you're bringing a Primarch but you still want a sort of company level character, and you don't really want to pay the 200 odd points for a tooled up Praetor, you can bring a small Centurion and a command squad and have them running around doing some good stuff. So there's some really cool things in here. So to go over the Blackshields, The Black Shields are interesting. They're kind of different in terms of how they operate, and we're going to get to the rules now. So there's basically they kind of have like an oath system, and the way they work is you basically take models from your respected army list, so trader or loyalist, whichever book you've got. You do need that book. You do need the Heretica or Loyalist books for the Space Marines. And when you select a detachment using the Legion Astartes army list and faction Black Shields, you pick up to 2 options may be selected from the following list of oaths. So basically you've got 2 oaths that you can take, and these kind of affect how your army is going to play. So the effects of the chosen oaths apply to all models selected as part of the detachment that the Legion Astartes Black Shield special rule, including models with a unique unit subtype. Excluding. So if you kind of bring some of the other stuff that's, you know, I'm not too sure how that works, because you're not going to get access to any of the unique unit subtypes because they don't have any other than 1 character. So I'm not too sure what that means. So unless noted otherwise, no oath may be selected more than once per detachment. So now you've got the oath of infamy and purpose. So the oaths of vengeance and wrath define the very core of each Black Shield's warband, and once decided should not be changed from battle to battle in order to gain an advantage over specific opponents. As such, when creating an army roster for a Black Shield's force to be used in a battle, the oath selected should be recorded before any opponents are decided and the composition of an opponent's army is seen. So you can't, what this is trying to say is, don't be tailoring your oaths to fit who you're fighting. Basically, your army is you do obviously have like a legion trait, and you do also have some warlord traits as well. And you have an advanced reaction. So we'll go into them as well, and then we'll have a little look at some of the oaths. So your Legion trait for the Black Shields is basically when an army includes a primary detachment of models with a special rule, can counted as having both Loyalist and Traitor allegiance by any special rules that target allegiances. So if you are fighting on an opponent who has Hatred Traitors, they hate you. If they have Traitor Loyalists, they hate you. It doesn't matter if it's regardless. So you're always counted as being a loyalist and a traitor, and any rules that trigger on that are going to be in effect. However, when included in an allied detachment or other non-primary detachments, models with this special rule are considered to have the same allegiance as the primary detachment. So if you're playing Iron Hands, loyalists, you can take some Black Shields and they will be loyalists. If I take some Black Shields, fight alongside my Iron Warriors, they will be traitor as such. So that's pretty cool. Now also you must be aware that they may not be used in an army that includes detachments that is considered agents of the Empire, Emperor or War Master, such as Legio Custodes and Silent Sisters. Basically, you can't fight alongside the Emperor because you're dodgy, and yeah, you can't do that. And in campaign games where allegiances are consequences for the linked series of serious battles being played to determine whether the campaign is won by traitors or loyalists, an army with a Black Shield's primary detachment must declare allegiance at the start of the campaign. So if you're going to play a campaign with all your friends, you have to say if you're going to be on the good side or the bad side, which is, again, kind of cool. So obviously they have a reaction, because every legion has one, apart from Shattered Legions, but we're going to go into them because they get a little bit weird. So this advanced reaction is pretty cool. It's an advanced reaction may be used once per battle during your opponent's assault phase, and when an enemy unit that includes any model with the Primarch unit type, unique unit subtype, the Master of the Legion special rule, or that has been selected as your army's warlord, declares a charge targeting a friendly unit under the reacting player's control that is composed entirely of models with the Legion Astartes Blackshields special rule. If the charge is successful, then all models in that unit that was charged gain Fearless. Nice. For the duration of that combat. Fearless for that first round of combat, pretty good. And any enemy model in the unit that was charged that is in base contact or engaged in a challenge with any enemy model with the character subtype gains +1 attack. Nice, so if there's a character in there or you're in a challenge, you get +1 attack. Or if that model also has the unique unit subtype, gain 2 attacks for the duration of that combat. So if you get charged, say, by a unit of Justaran Terminators, and there is a character leading them, then you're in base contact or engaged in a challenge, you're going to get a +1 attack or +2 attacks, which is pretty good. So you've also got some Warlord traits. So there's the Bloody Tyrant. So a Warlord with the Warlord trait gains Fear 1. Cool. With the affects all models as well as enemy models. So it affects friendly and enemy models. This does not include any Warlord model with the trait, which is not affected. However, should any friendly unit that is under the effect of the model's Fear 1 special rule and under the control of the player whose Warlord trait has this trait be forced to fall back or become pinned, the controlling player may instead choose to remove a single model as a casualty. This model is chosen by the unit's controlling player and may take no saving throws or damage mitigation rolls of any kind. If this option is used, then the unit does not fall back or become pinned, but instead remains in place without further effect, or if locked in combat, remains locked in combat. In addition, an army whose Warlord has this trait may make an additional action during the opponent's assault phase. So basically what this means is your leader does Fear 1, and it does Fear 1 to everybody, friend or foe. And if the fear affects your own troops, you can basically kill one of your guys and they're no longer scared and they no longer run away or get pinned or anything like that, which is kind of cool. So you've got Forgotten Heroes. So during during any player's shooting phase, so that's yours or theirs, a model with this Warlord trait is allocated at least 1 wound, whether it's saved or not, and including if the wound causes the Warlord to be removed as a casualty, then all other friendly models in the same unit gain a bonus of +1 to their weapon skill and character and strength characteristic until the end of the next player turn in which that unit makes a successful charge, or is successfully charged by an enemy unit. This bonus does not cumulative and may not only be benefit from the maximum +1 weapon skill. In addition, the Warlord trait may have an additional action in the shooting phase. So you can, take a little bit of damage on your Warlord, and then get that +1 weapon skill and +1 strength, and then go to town. Cool, not bad. Risk reward, pretty cool. So the next one is Twisted Strategies. So at the start of the game turn, before the start of any player's movement phase, if the Warlord with this trait is on the battlefield and may not be removed as a casualty, then the controlling player of that Warlord may select one of the special rules listed below and a single friendly unit from the same detachment. The unit that includes the Warlord may be selected. All models in the selected unit gain the selected special rule for the duration of that game turn. Each of the listed special rules may be selected once per battle. So you can have Shrouded 6+, Rampage 1, Counter-Strike 1, or Precision Shots 6+. In addition, and the army's Warlord trait may be make an additional reaction in your opponent's movement phase. So this is kind of cool. So you're kind of like mini Ultramarines, from first edition. So you've kind of got like mini Guilliman running around, and you can kind of get at the beginning of the turn, you can kind of give yourself a special rule. So if you know you're going to get shot at that turn, Shrouded 6+, pretty good. If you know you're going to really get stuck in and have a fight, you can give yourself Rampage 1. But if your Warlord's in a unit of, say, some snipers or some bolters or whatever, you give yourself Precision Shots. So it's kind of cool. I quite like that one. I really do like the idea of a Bloody Tyrant. I just like the fact that the guy just emanates fear. And if anyone, of your own side runs away, you can just beat one guy down and kill him. and put everyone back in line. So I kind of like that. Kind of fits with the Black Shields sort of way. So obviously you've got the oaths. So I'm not going to go through all of them. There are a lot of oaths, but there are certain ones. So likes of the Spoils of Victory. A unit that includes any models with this oath may not make sweeping advances. Sweet. Take Cataphracti, and you can't anyway. However, whenever a unit would otherwise be eligible to or capable of making a sweeping advance, the controlling player must instead roll a d6. On the result of a 4+, the controlling player gains a victory point. So, obviously, you don't want to take Cataphracti because you're not eligible, but so you take Tartarus Terminators instead. And rather than actually making a sweeping advance, you win the combat and you roll a 4+, and you get a victory point. Pretty cool. It does actually have a note in the bottom about Cataphracti Terminators. So note that units that are normally allowed to make a sweeping advance, such as models with the heavy unit subtype, or that have Legion Astartes Cataphracti Terminator armor, cannot gain benefit from this oath. So obviously, as I said, don't take Cataphracti, bring Tartarus, and you can lean into that. There are others where you are able to take war gear from a certain legion. What I mean by that, say as an example, you want to take the Lightning Claws from the Raven Guard armory. You can take a Panoply of Old, which basically allows you to gain access to the additional weapon options that legion gets. So if you really like shrapnel bolters, you can basically take this oath, take the Iron Warriors as the Panoply of Old, and basically gain access to things like the Shrapnel Bolters. That doesn't mean that you get the unit types or any of the Praetor upgrades or the Rights of War or anything like that. You basically just get access to any of the cool weapon options. So like Space Wolf and their Frost weapons, Raven Guard and their Talons, assault cannons on storm shields. The storm shields from the salamanders, you can get hold of them. So you can have some Cataphracti Terminators in your Black Shield armies running around with a 3-up invulnerable. Pretty cool. So, that's a kind of a really cool one to sort of lean in if you want a certain specific army item to make your army really good. There are others where you can get likes of Oath of the Legacy of Nicaea, so you can kind of get yourself a little Psyker in there with their own little psychic powers. There's Flesh is Weak, where you can basically turn your guys into automaton, which is, again, kind of awesome if you're into that sort of thing. But there are a lot. And yes, just as a quick one for anyone who played Black Shields in 1st edition, the Xenos Deathlock weapon systems are back, and there is an entire oath for them as well. So there's a lot there, and you kind of basically pick two and you tailor your army to the theme. I know some of the guys in my local gaming group are already doing this, and one of the guys is looking at like an exiled traitor Raven Guard force. So they've leaned heavily into the Raven Guard type things to get the jump packs and the talons, and they're going to be like running around as a more assault orientated Raven Guard traitor force that are Black Shields. So pretty cool. Really, really good. Now for the Shattered Legions. And, oh my god, this, when I first read it, was pretty confusing. So basically, I'll try to make this as easy as I can. Essentially, a Shattered Legion army doesn't have a... They have their own sort of detachment rule. So a Shattered Legion detachment is a detachment with a Legion Astartes faction in which every unit has a Legionary Astartes Shattered Legions special rule. A Shattered Legions detachment must be the army's primary detachment. And an army whose primary detachment is Shattered Legions cannot include any other detachments. A Shattered Legions detachment may not include any models with the Primarch or Demon Primarch unit type. So basically, if you like certain legions, so as an example, if you're a real fan of Estevan 3, you could have an army made up of Emperor's Children, Sons of Horus, and some World Eaters scattered in there. Now, you can have up to 3 of these armies, basically. I would advise when you first start playing Shattered Legions to really just pick 2 legions. because of the way the rules work. 3 can get a little bit confusing. It can be done. I know one of the guys that we play with has built a spreadsheet that allows this to be worked out, and we'll go through the reason why. But I think if you're starting out with Shattered Legions, and Shattered Legions is something that you really want to play, you kind of lean into 2 to start with. Also, make sure that the models are painted, those legions, and it'll make playing the army a little bit easier, because visually you'll be able to see what everything is. If you paint them like Blackshields and paint them all black, you're going to be confused as shit. So every model in this detachment must represent one of your selected legions. So when you add a Shattered Legion primary detachment to your army, you must select either 2 or 3 different legions from the following and note them on your army roster. So you've got all 18 there. A model represents a legion when it clearly displays the legion iconography. And even the rules are kind of saying that everything has to be painted and iconed out to look like those legions chosen. Because it's going to be, this is kind of important to how it works. Then it represents no legion. So if any model does not clearly display iconography or colors, no legion, and is not counted for determining the majority or the minority of a unit. So it's kind of basically telling you, like I just said, to make sure that this is done. So the number of models in a unit that represents each legion is at your discretion, but each unit on your army roster must contain models representing as many of the selected legions as possible, i.e., a unit with 2 models must represent 2 different legions. A unit of 3 or more models must contain at least 1 model representing each selected legion. So as an example, if you're playing a tactical squad with 10 models, you can have 6 of those models can be from 1 legion and 4 of those models can be of the other legion. The reason why you kind of stick to 2 and not go into 3 is because that's going to come really, really confusing when you start taking casualties. Because once you start taking casualties and the number of each of the different legions starts changing, it kind of starts changing what rules those units take. So basically, how this works is you've got the majority and the minority rule. So for the purpose of determining which bonuses are available to a unit that includes models with the Legions Astartes Shattered Legion special rule at the start of each phase, not each turn. Now, a lot of people are asking for this to be FAQ to be each turn, but it's each phase. The controlling play will need to determine which of their selected legions has the greatest number among the models in that unit. So, the majority, the legion that represents the greatest number of models in a unit, is said to be the majority. If the number is tied between 2 or more legions, then the controlling player may select one of the tied legions to be the majority. The minority, the legion that represents the fewest models in a unit, is said to be the minority. If the number is tied between 2 or more legions, then the controlling player may select the tied legions to be the minority. When counting models in a unit, all models are counted no matter what unit type they have, excepting only dedicated transports, which are not considered part of a unit. Models that include multiple crew or operators as part of a single model, such as javelins, are considered to represent the legion whose icons or colors are displayed on the main component of that model. So basically, if you've got like a transport, like a javelin with 2 guys in it, if you've painted it Raven Guard, it's not really sort of saying that you've got 1 Raven Guard in it and someone else in it. Everybody in that javelin is a Raven Guard. For example, and it uses that example as this: a Legion javelin that has 2 crew models are in the color schemes of Raven Guard colors and 1 in Salamander colors, representing the Legion whose colors are on the javelin itself, ignoring the crew. So if you paint the actual vehicle itself Raven Guard, and you can paint one of the guys Salamanders if you really wanted to, it's still a Raven Guard javelin. The calculating the majority and the minority applies until the end of the phase and does not require recalculating during a phase as units take casualties and models are removed. Now, there's a lot of designer notes during the Shattered Legions because this can get quite confusing, and they do have a Legion trait. So Legion veteran squads with this special rule may be selected as troops, Nice, that's pretty cool. And gain the line subtype. So veteran squads will line, win-win. Any unit with this special rule that selects a dedicated transport gains the support squad special rule. So you're going to take tactical squads and throw them in a rhino. They now become support squads. A unit or upgrade may select... no unit or upgrade may be selected that is restricted to specific variant of the Legion Astartes X special rule, excluding Legion Astartes Shattered Legions units otherwise stated in the rules. So basically that means that you're not allowed to take things like the Legion specific units. So you can't play play Shattered Legions with Iron Warriors and bring a unit of Tyrant Siege Guard. It's not happening. So you're not getting any of the fancy stuff, but you are getting some really cool, strong rules here. So, multiple tactics. So in the following section, you will find mutable tactics for each legion that can be represented in your Shattered Legion force. Each set of mutable tactics has 4 rules, each of which apply to a unit and that contains models representing that legion, based on whether the legion is in the majority in the unit, in the minority for that unit, or represents by a model with the independent character special rule. Each set of mutable traits also dictates a flaw which may apply to a unit under certain circumstances. So you have hero traits. So models with both the Legion Astartes Shattered Legions and independent character special rules gains a hero trait for the legion they are representing. If such a unit model joins a unit composed entirely of models with Legion Astartes Shattered Legions, it also is bound by the major minor trait that may apply, as well as any flaw traits. A model with the vehicle unit type can never benefit from a hero trait. So major, minor, and flaw traits. So as you can see, this can get quite confusing. So we'll just continue going through it. So major, minor, and flaw traits. Models with the Legion Astartes Shattered Legion special rule, but not the independent character special rule, gain traits depending on both the legions that will represent in the composition of the unit they are part of. So all models with the Legion Astartes Shattered Legion special rule in a unit composed entirely of models representing a single legion gain the minor benefit shown on the mutable tactics for the legion and suffer from the flaw listed in that legion. So basically what that means is if you take 10 tactical marines and you make them all one squad from one legion, you'll get the minority benefit, even though they are the majority, and they'll also take a flaw. Cool. All models with the Legion Astartes Shattered Legion special rule in a unit composed of models representing 2 or more legions gain the major benefit from the municipal tactics trait for the legion represented by the majority of models, and the minority benefit from the municipal tactics trait for the legion represented by the minority of models in a unit. In addition, all models with all Legion Astartes Shattered Legion special rule in that unit also suffer the flaw from the municipal tactics trait of the legion with the minority of models in the unit. A unit composed of a single model or a unit that is split after the deployment, such as Contemptor Dreadnoughts, with the Legion Astartes Shattered Legion special rule gain the minor trait of the legion they represent, and also the legion, the flaw. So basically, you're going to get a minor, a major, a minor, and a flaw. And if it's just consisted of one legion, you're going to get the minor and the flaw. And if it's a single thing, you're just going to get the minor and the flaw. So it kind of goes through as well with multiple tactics in action, and it kind of shows you how, with pictures of how this is done. So you basically, at the beginning of the phase, count up your models, and then you start applying for that. This is why it can get confusing. So as an example, we're just going to go through the first page, and we're going to imagine that our unit is made up of Dark Angels and Emperor's Children. So if it's a Dark Angels hero in a unit of Dark Angels in the majority, that hero will gain the Monster Hunter special rule. Okay? The majority of that unit will have the major rule, which is Ruthless Blade Masters. So if this unit is the winner in an assault, each enemy unit that suffers an additional -1 penalty to the resulting resulting morale check. Cool. So the Emperor's Children are in the minority. They would have the minor rule, which says Expert Duelist. So Emperor's Children models in the unit gain the Chosen Warrior special rule. And because the minor, you would also then get the flaw. So if you choose to refuse a challenge, and there is an eligible Emperor's Children model from this unit that could have accepted, models in this unit suffer -1 penalty to the hit rolls until the end of the turn. So it only affects those models with that legion allegiance. So you can kind of see how this kind of starts working as you flow. So you kind of need to build your army with your specific legion in mind. So you want to look at your tactical squad is going to have really sort of which major rule you want. And then you're going to look for a legion. Like if you want to really min-max this, you could look then for a legion that then gives you a minor trait that is also going to benefit the unit as a whole, but it's only really going to affect those minor models. Now the skill and the savvy of how this army is going to work is going to be down to when you remove casualties and who you remove the casualties from, triggering that change between the minor and the majority and the flaw. So that's kind of going to be the skill set of how to play this army. It's definitely an army with a lot of granular rules, which is kind of really cool. And there are some really, really cool combinations that you could possibly do. And you can kind of get away with having any combination of any legion, regardless of traitor or loyalist, because you can quite easily say that these are loyalist Sons of Horus or traitor Dark Angels. So you can really sort of go to town in this and really have a good time. Plus, as a painting hobby point of view, you're kind of not just stuck in pigeonholed into one legion. You can kind of do multiple legions. And that's kind of cool. I really like that idea. This is a really interesting system. It's going to take a lot of reading to sort of go through each individual legion and really sort of work out what you want each of them to do, but pretty nice. So obviously, as an example, the World Eaters are a pretty much popular legion. So their hero trait is Champion of the Arena, so the model gains Rage 2. If the models in a unit are in the majority, when making a charge roll for this unit, roll 1 additional d6 and discard one of the results. So basically that's everybody in the unit. So if you have a despoiler squad or an assault squad in the majority of World Eaters, the whole unit is getting that additional 6 and discard one of the results. The minority is during a turn in which this unit successfully charged, the failed armor saving throws for this unit in that fight subphase is ignored. This has no effect on the weapon's armor pacing value is equal to or lower than the model's armor save. That's cool. And obviously you've got the flaw. So as soon as they come into as soon as they become into the minority, the flaw kicks in. If this unit is within 12 inches of an enemy unit and a charge is not declared for it during the controlling player's assault phase, the controlling player must make a pinning test for that unit. So obviously you can see how this can kind of sort of affect, and every legion has got it. Really, really, really kind of interesting and kind of cool. So yeah, this is kind of awesome. Now, I'm not really going to go through all of the rules because this video is already long enough as it is. For things like the characters, I will sort of go through some of them that we've, that we like and love. So, I'm not really going to touch on Little Horus. He's basically, he's a Praetor level character. He has Hunted and Traitor, and he has his own little Warlord trait. Basically, his Haunted rule is you get victory points if you kill Loken, or you're involved in a combat where Loken is killed. So cool. Tybolt Bar is kind of cool, beautiful model. But what we want to look at is the big guy, because Shadrach Medicine is an absolute beast if you want to play Shattered Legions. And to be fair, if you're playing Shattered Legions, you're definitely going to sort of want to bring him at 175 points. He has a lot of cool rules. So yeah, really, really impressed with him. But Edred Har is 165 points. He's the Riven Hound. He's the Praetor of the Black Shields, and there's the Fangs of the Emperor warband. He has an Architect pistol, a Wattian pattern power gauntlet. He's an Iron Halo, frag crack grenades, and artifice armor. He's Master of the Legion rule, so he's basically a Praetor. He's got Relentless. He's got Independent character. He's Hatred of World Eaters. He's Battle Hardened 1, which is really good, and he's got the Warlord trait Fangs of the Emperor. Now, bear in mind, he literally is a Praetor level character. His Warlord trait is, if chosen in an as your army's Warlord, Edred Har automatically has the Fangs of the Emperor Warlord trait and may not select any other. And that Warlord trait is, in addition, an army whose Warlord has this trait makes an additional reaction during the assault phase, as long as the Warlord has not been removed. So you're going to get an additional reaction in your full assault phase. Now, the Gauntlet is just absolutely bonkers. So it's ×2 strength, which means it's strength 8, which is cool. It's AP2. It's melee unwieldy, so you're striking at initiative 1. Specialist weapon, brutal 2, and counter and charged attacks. So what charged attacks is each time Edred Har makes attacks with his weapon, he can make charged attacks. If he does so, half the total number of attacks Edred Har makes, rounding up. So he has 4 attacks basic. So, and if you charge, you get +1 attack. And it's a specialist weapon. So if you have another specialist weapon, you can get, which I believe his pistol might be, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So basically, you can potentially have up to 6 attacks. And if you are going to make a charged attack, you half your attack, so you have 3. And so you half it, but change the strength characteristic of this Terawatt Gauntlet to ×3. So he becomes strength 12. Strength 12 Power Fist at brutal 2. So he's going to smash dreadnoughts. He's going to run up to knights and absolutely obliterate knights, or any tank or anything like that. That is pretty nasty. So he's basically going to be able to get into combat with a Spartan, hit the rear armor, and basically need 2s to glance or 3s to penetrate on 3 attacks. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. He's an absolute really beast of a model as well. But yeah, this is definitely worth buying if you are a Horus Heresy player. Highly recommend it. It's probably one of the best books I've seen them do for quite some time. There's a lot of stuff in here, and like this video is nearly 45 minutes. We haven't even touched the campaign systems and the missions and stuff like that are in this book. So there's a lot to talk about in this book. I may make another video if you want me to about the campaign systems. Hopefully I've kind of gone through as much. I was a little bit disappointed by the Warhammer partnered creators who got sent this book and then kind of didn't really go into much detail of what the Shattered Legions or the Black Shields were. I didn't really understand what the hell they were talking about until I actually got my hands on the book myself and had a good read. So hopefully I've cast a lot of light on that, and I highly recommend, if you want to play Black Shields or Shattered Legions, to get this book and to jump into it and get playing. But that's the video for now, folks. If you like what I do, please like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Check out my members area, my Patreon if you want to, and I will catch you in the next one. And yeah, there will be a White Scars painting tutorial coming soon. And if you get this book, you'll know why the white scars are pretty important. I'll catch you later. Goodbye.